What's going on, guys? I know it's been a while since you've seen the city and we've done a city update video, so I wanted to fill you in on what's going on. Well, for starters, if you saw the last video, then you probably know that we're about to get married. Miss AFOL TV and I get married next weekend, which is super exciting. And we also mentioned in the last video that we're working on updating the city as you guys know it. So I am here today to tell you that this is officially the last time that you will see the city behind me ever again. We've moved the city before and we've changed things before in the past. And we've always said that that's the last time that you're going to see that version of the city. And that was true. That was the last time that you're going to see that version of the city. But this time around, this is the last time that you guys are going to see any of these buildings or any of this layout, because we are changing everything. Now, that's not to say if we get a bigger place in the future and we have more space to reset it up, then that might be something that we look at doing. But for now, this is the last time you will see this. And truthfully, we haven't really been working on it the last couple months because it's been really hot in Southern California and we don't have air conditioning in the garage. But outside of saying that, you guys know that for the last 3 years, we have been very focused on building essentially a version of Miami. And we've loved how it's come out. It's kind of a mix of Miami and Orange County, and a lot of the buildings and beaches and everything else is drawn from inspiration from both of those. Going forward, we're gonna change all of that. I'm going to tell you more about that in a moment. So I want to look back at the city over the years, and then we will wrap it up with plans for the future. So kicking it off, if you guys have been with us from the start, then you probably remember back in the day we were doing just simple tutorial videos, unboxing videos, and product review videos. And from there, we came out with this Skyloft building. And that was actually our first foray into building the city as you guys know it today. We started with just that build in a tiny little apartment that we were living in, and we had no aspirations of building a city whatsoever. After showing you guys Skyloft, there were a lot of comments and a lot of frenzy online with putting together a whole city, and then we really started to think about it at that point. From there, we got a new place, and it had a second bedroom, and we turned that second bedroom into the studio. And if you guys remember, you were there from the start, we essentially turned that entire room into the future city, putting together IKEA tables, putting together new lighting, and basically prepping the room for the city to come. We started with just the Skyloft and some roads, and it was very bare at the beginning. And from there, we started adding more buildings. And in the beginning of it, there wasn't even a beach. So we literally had to start everything from scratch. And as the city grew, we added the beach, we added the marina, we added a lot more buildings and skyscrapers, eventually adding some of our taller buildings. And that kind of grew into how you guys knew it about a year ago. In August 2021, we knew that we wanted to put an airport together, and we had never actually built one of that magnitude or that scale before. So we did a lot of research, and it spent about a month designing and kind of planning everything. And we ended up coming out with, as you guys know, our modular airport, which has been a huge hit. That was one of our first builds that I think really set us apart from other YouTubers, because it was something that, we really loved building because we travel a lot, but it was also just something that was a lot of fun to put together because it was so intricate and had a lot of detail. Unfortunately at the old place, the room was too small, so we actually couldn't build the full airport in its full glory. What we did was we built just one gate and a small little section on the end of the city to kind of make up for it. Obviously, none of that was ideal. So early 2022, we bought the place that we currently live in, and it has a large 3-car garage, which is what I'm sitting in currently with the city behind me. This proved to be a great move because it, basically doubled our space and created a lot more room for building potential, which we have loved. As you guys know, this city has actually been through a few revisions inside of here as well. We started with everything kind of pushed back towards the north end in a much bigger, denser city. But the challenge with that was it was tough to access the back parts and really keep everything updated. So from there, we then kind of spread everything out along the back wall and made a much more linear city. And that was actually one of my more favorite layouts because it was very easy to access everything. But the problem with it is that it was very shallow. So the density of the city wasn't really there, and it didn't feel like a true city. From there, last summer, we also set up our brand new, fully built out airport, and that was a lot of fun to put together, and you guys seem to really love it. And the city was really starting to come together. Now, starting earlier this year, we wanted to kind of change things up yet again, and so we then started moving around everything and came up with the layout that you see behind me, and that has been what we've been essentially working on since call it March of this year. We moved the airport over to its new home, added another gate so it's much larger now, and then we filled in what's behind me now with the backdrop of the skyscrapers and everything else. And it to me, this looks like a true city because there's the density involved, there's good planning with the street system and everything else, and honestly, And it looks really good in my opinion. I'm happy with how it turns out. It looks, realistic, and I think the layout makes a lot of sense. And then the most recent project that we were working on, the Beachtown area and adding a front to the airport or an arrivals and departures terminal. And that's been a lot of fun as well. The challenge though is, again, as I mentioned, it gets very hot in here, and that has kind of slowed down the building process along with wedding planning. So why are we changing everything yet again? Well, in truth, we feel it's kind of stale and we're getting kind of bored with just the same old layout. It's not that challenging anymore, I guess you could say, and the creative passion just isn't fully there. And I think you guys can probably recognize that with the lack of video content. I think by essentially scraping the city as you guys know it now and starting fresh, it's going to not only open up a lot of new builds and exciting new videos, but I think it's also going to reignite a lot of creative passion. And I think it's going to lead to a new layout down here that makes a lot of sense. We've been essentially spending the last few weeks working on the layout using Adobe Illustrator. I'm gonna show you guys a sneak preview, but I'm not gonna tell you too many details. Essentially, it's gonna be two areas of the city, and as you can see, this is the road layout. And then in the middle is gonna be a filming station where we're gonna do product reviews, talking headshots like this, and additional video content. And that's on purpose. We actually wanted the two areas to be split because they're going to be two different cities in the US. So the difference this time around, rather than building and designing our own skyscrapers, we're actually gonna be building and hopefully capturing actual real life buildings in two US cities that we've identified. I will tell you, one of them is New York, and I will leave the other one for you guys to guess in the comments. But essentially, one of the areas will be New York, and then the other area will be that other city that I'm talking about, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to build out. The only part of the city that we're not gonna get rid of is the airport. We're actually gonna be moving that to its old home, which is kind of over this way, and we're gonna reset it up, kind of clean it up, and probably change a little bit about the airport, but for the most part, it's gonna live on as you guys know it right now. There might be some changes in the future, but for now, we're gonna let it be and then focus on rebuilding the two cities. The skyscrapers that you see behind me are probably gonna go into storage for now. I might use them as the backdrop for the talking head area of the new filming area, but we're literally starting from scratch. So it's gonna be all new skyscrapers, all new buildings. I think just as a ode to when we started, we might put Skyloft in one of the cities somewhere, but I think that's pretty much it. All the other buildings are gonna be replaced. So make sure you're following along and subscribed because you're definitely not gonna wanna miss this. We're actually going to be concluding our former build series playlist on YouTube with this video. That means it will be no more. You can still watch all the old videos, but we're not gonna be continuing to update that one. We're gonna start a fresh, brand new playlist with everything moving forward. And on top of that, we're gonna be starting with all new tables, a whole new layout. We're basically gonna start everything with the roads again, just like last time, and work our way up. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, a really exciting process. It's gonna be coming in a couple weeks after we get married. So once again, make sure you're subscribed and following along. I can't wait to show you guys what we have planned. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.